Into the second week, we are already transposing to several different keys, both hands together.
Are your students taking theory?
No, most of them, 80% of them are not music majors that I have in some of these classes, so they come in with absolutely nothing in music.
Okay, so when you transpose, you've taught them about keys?
We go into 5-finger pattern approach. These are the first 5 tones. And then later on, we add 6, 7, and 8. If they had 8 fingers on each hand, we would probably do the whole shot at once.
Okay.
And they know that. Later, we get into the other. But they are getting around the keyboard quickly. We move away from the key of C as soon as possible. I don't want them to be scared of black key scales. And within the 5th week, we are in all different keys, all 12 keys. They know how to play major chords, they know how to play minor chords, and all the 5-finger patterns, and major and minor. And these are people who've never had exposure to any kind of music whatsoever. And it's been successful. And my book is patterned that way. And it was really written for students that learn history.
On a less technical level for a minute, do you have any sense, working within a university, a multidisciplinary university with a full range of disciplines, why is it important to include in the humanities? How have you seen that demonstrated? Why is it important for an adult learner or a kid who's not going to be a professional musician to take piano lessons or music lessons?
Well, let me shoot back a question to you. In how many ways does music permeate our lives every day? Can you imagine a movie, a film, attending film, without music in the background? Can you imagine watching television without music in the background of the productions, commercials? Music is in our lives every day in many, many forms. And if we took it away, there'd be a vast emptiness. Does that answer my question? I don't mean elevator music, but I think it's part of us, and it's part of what we leave behind. When people do these archaeological, they find what do they find? They find the artistic, the artwork, the instruments, reference to music, tunes that have been handed down centuries. They're part of us. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. I heard a concert at Orchestra Hall. Someone dragged me, and it was great. And a Mexican folklore group had discovered, an archaeologist had discovered all these pre-Columbian musical instruments. Nobody knew what they played on them, but they had the instruments, they didn't have the music. So a composer, Mexican or South American composer, composed some music. It was ungodly beautiful to hear these 1,000-year-old instruments.
Absolutely. Have you read about, there was an excavation of some instruments that had indentations in them so that they thought that blues had been invented hundreds and hundreds of years ago because the way in which the instruments were fashioned, they'd be flatted notes, conducive to blues. I read an article about that just a few weeks ago. What is this other instrument, the bamboo flute? The wood flute or something? It's used in a lot of music. It's very popular in
or the
film scores.
It's an airy sounding.
Yes, airy sound.
Pan flute.
Pan flute? Is it Bansuri flute? Is that what
Maybe.
it is? B-A-N-S-U-R-I, and you hear it.
It's in a lot of South America.
Yes. Beautiful sound.
Yeah.
It's one of the big instruments today. So all that's relevant. Just think of film scores. Walk in any blockbuster, what is it, Circuit City, and you've got rows of film scores. That's very big. Very, very big. There's many beautiful things that have been written. And many of our classical composers, say what you will about the movie Amadeus, what did that do for Mozart's music, Pachelbel and Vivaldi, all of these, Scott Joplin, the Sting. Sure, Scott Joplin was a fine composer, but what happened after the Sting? I mean, Scott Joplin had a revival.
I don't know. This is such a reference book that's going to be. I think of it as an interesting book, a reference book, a book that's now giving us interviews with pianists that are no longer with us. What got you going on it?
Good question. When I was a student at Northwestern, I sometimes would go into these different music books trying to find information about a pianist I might hear play. I wanted to know something about the pianist's background, and I would read these, I don't want to say obituaries, but they seemed like obituaries. Played 42 concertos this year with such and such an orchestra. Program notes. And I said, what about this person? This pianist is a person. Why does a person play the way that person plays? What is it about? Because I think we bring our lives into our music. And I always had this thing about, in the back of my mind, someday I would like to do something along those lines. And I started doing interviews for magazines, and the idea came, why not do a book of interviews? And I started calling publishing houses, and it was still in the day when you could call and find an editor willing to listen to you. And I did find Alan Klotz of KLOTS, who was senior editor of Dodd Mead. His mother was a pianist, and he was immediately taken with the idea, but wanted 3 interviews. And I sent him the interviews. He liked what he saw. I went to New York. I received a contract, and that was the start. It was one of the greatest learning experiences of my life. It was a privilege. I mean, it was exasperating, and the most exasperating part was getting the interview, not doing the interview. It's just getting the people in a framework at a time when they had some time to sit and talk. A lot of these artists, it took 1 to 2 years just to get somebody like Pokorellich. Within a week time, we changed the interview to 4 different places, from Switzerland to England to another place back to England, and I flew over there. Like within 48 hours, I didn't know which country I was going to be flying to interview Pokorellich. And there, I waited for an hour and a half for him to show, and I thought, here I am, I've flown several thousand miles, is this man going to show? And yes, he came in with his wife, they did some grocery shopping. Yeah, and we had one of the most wonderful interviews in London. And then I had people that say, he cancels, he may not be there. Do you want to fly to Europe to do this? That was the most difficult part. Seeing the lifestyle. It's not as glamorous, it's hard, it's wonderful, but it's lonely. As you probably know, that it's lonely. Yeah. They're always on a firefighter schedule, as John Browning said. But what a wealth of experiences to meet these artists. I do want to tell you that all the tapes are at the Oral History Library of Yale University. They are available for interested people. They want to hear these voices. The tapes are available to listen to. A few of them have been censored because they say embarrassing things about others, and they should not be released until a later time. One of the people called another musician, I can tell you this. He said, well, she has legs like an elephant. I don't think this lady who is still touring would appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
It's not relevant, and it's demeaning. Yeah. But I'll tell you who one of the most fascinating interviews was, and that was Glenn Gould. I call him the James Dean. He's the cult figure of pianists. I would liken him to in film to a James Dean.
Okay.
My humble opinion.
The 40th anniversary of his death just came this week.
I listened to his tape the other evening. I wanted to
of the interview.
Glenn Gould, because there were some things I wanted you to know in that tape that were not published. He was one that I did by phone. I was expecting my third child at the time and couldn't fly. It was too close to that day when due to fly.
He talked a lot by phone, didn't he?
Oh, he loved, and it was a better medium by phone than in person. That was his natural facility.
Yeah.
And only through my friend's help, Robert Silverman, the editor and publisher, was I able to get this interview. I thank him for that. Because if I had written him, Glenn Gould said, he would have probably let the letter sit on his desk for 2 years and then he'd say, no, I'm sorry. However, I never knew, once we decided the interview was going to be, that he was going to do this interview, I never knew when the phone call was going to come through. Weeks went by, and one day, it was a day I had 102 temperature. I felt horrible. I was very sick. I just put 2 small children, 2 babies to bed. And the phone
And you were expecting your third?
Yes. And the other 2 were very little. They're all close, okay? And on the other end of the phone is, and this is in his movie, the movie they did on him, out of 32, what is it called, 32 films? Yes, well, that's in there's a little segment where I'm interviewed there. And
Yeah, I must have.
with a red suit. I'm wearing a red suit.
Is your name on the...
Yes, it's all on there.
Because I saw the movie once in the movie theater, and then twice, and then a second time on Channel 11, and Judy Nelson mentioned that you were in. I'm going to have to...
Yes.
So, but tell me...
So, you'll recognize it, I think. I pick up the phone and says, hello, is this... I says, yes. Hi, this is Glenn Gould, and I feel like talking.
Oh.
You remember that line?
Yeah.
Yes. He did exactly that, and I'm saying, okay, I mean, I'm not going to say, well, we'll have to do another time. I'm sick. That was the moment. She said, can you give me...
Did they film you here? Or?
No, I flew up there. I flew to Canada to do this.
And they filmed you.
Okay. I was one of many, but anyway, I set up 2 tape recorders, and I always used 2 because once I recorded Misha Dichter and nothing happened. It was blank.
Yeah,
so
that's
now
why
I always do 2. I'm always like this.
Yeah, I ought to do that. That's why I checked.
It's much safer because sometimes it even starts and then it goes off. I've had that happen to me too. So we set it up, he calls back, and I'm slithering on the stairs, listening. And the wonderful thing about Glenn Gould is you would ask one question and 45 minutes later it would be answered. Do you like Mozart? You like Mozart? I hate Mozart. Well, why do you hate? And he'll tell you exactly as he did in 45 minutes or less. The interview went on for hours. In the meantime, I had 2 energized children get up. And he's talking about important things, and they are in the background wanting nothing more dangerous than a child that's hungry and slept out. And we played the raisin game. I must have flicked 6 boxes of these little raisins in the air while I'm speaking to Glenn Gould on the phone. And that tape in the oral history library will have towards the end, the last hour, 2 little children happier and then starting to get into trouble with each other, crying, and there's Glenn talking away about all these wonderful things. After this interview, it continued because he would call back and he'd call at 1 or 2 in the morning. I'd be sleeping. He says, Elyse, do you have the manuscript? Yes, Glenn. Like I slept with the manuscript. He said, well, on page 3, I don't think we should use a semicolon here. It went right down to semicolons.
So
God love him.
He saw the man, you would send him.
He said, I sent him the manuscript, and he added things that he thought might be pertinent. He said he did not want to interrupt what I've written, but to make it better. And he was happy. But the raisin story is a dear story that I was too embarrassed to tell that story for years. I had a number of phone calls along the way. The interview, there's a real bonding that took place was with the question, do you believe in an everlasting?
And you asked that
I asked
many,
that,
if not all, I noticed,
but but him, he stopped, and when he stopped, I mean, because, he loves to talk. He loved to talk. And he said things, many profound things. But he was taken back, and he said, no one has ever asked me that question, and I feel complimented, and I am grateful. And then he went on to answer about why he thought there was, as opposed to oblivion. And then at the end of it, he said, no question I have ever been given has energized me, has taken so much energy from me to answer you. Felt it the deepest compliment. And he said, again and again, he said how gratifying it was. And how he thanked me over and over again for asking him that question. And it was like, from that point in the interview, everything opened up. And he told Bob Silverman later, he said, it started out as the ordinary interview. And then he said, we had a very special interview. Right after he said, that question just did it. And I could feel it. I could hear it on the tape as I listened to it the other night. And he was... this business about his raincoat and that coat, he said, that was taken really out of context. He said, I only did that once, and that was in Jerusalem in 1958. And he said, yes, I was cold. I was very cold. I catch colds easily. So I did put a coat and a scarf. And
for a concert?
And he played that outdoor with gloves on, cut off.
Yeah.
But he said, look, it's 45 degrees out, and you have to play out there. He said, what do you do to stay warm? I wanted to get through that concert without pneumonia. And he said, people took that out of context.
Did he feel his eccentricities had been exaggerated?
Yes, he did. And he said, yes, he said, my lifestyle is different because I'm an artist that likes to work at night. So I go to bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's part of my lifestyle. And he says, if you want to call me different or eccentric, he said, fine, I'm glad I am. I am me that needs to be what I am to do the work I do. I enjoy being that way.
Yeah.
No one was more gracious. No one was more gracious than Glenn Gould. We must have talked hours and hours and hours and hours after the interview. He never said, Elyse, you paid for these interviews. Nothing. His telephone bills must have been astronomical. At the end, later, I sent him a book of photography of southwestern United States. He was a train traveler. He enjoyed. And I must have hit on the right gift. I received a wonderful letter from him. And he was a man who just didn't, I was putting in present tense, who didn't write a lot of letters to people. I don't believe that was his normal style. Telephone was his style. But he would call all times of day and night. And on that tape, he sang an awful lot. Oh, he sang so many different things on this tape. And it goes like this, and it should go like that. And he said, Barbara Streisand, and she did this. And he'd start singing one. Happy man. Happy.
I love him so much.
Man.
He died at 50.
50, and it was such a tragedy. And I can't tell you how privileged I feel to have been able to speak to some of these people. Another one was Galles. Galles. He hadn't given an interview in over 20 years to any American.
Yeah, I don't think I ever read one.
And it worked out right.
Yeah,
it worked out. I mean, they laughed when I called up. They said, no, he won't give interviews. I'll ask him. And you know what? I sent the book, the first volume, and he admired the people that were in that volume. Some of the other people that I was interviewing, not the first volume, that I had interviewed. But he said yes. And I flew to New York, especially just to interview him. And he was very, very nice. Very nice. And did not wish to have it translated there.
I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, absolutely. So those were introduced. Janina Falkowska. It was an interesting interview because
I read every.
she wanted. I
she
turned
was
off the
rather
tape
open
recorder.
about-
Yeah, and she said, we talked. All of a sudden, it just all fell out. I had a nervous breakdown. I did this, and I just looked at her, and I said, "May I record this?" And I said, we don't have to use this if we don't want. But you know, a lot of artists go through depressions. They would gain a lot to know that not everybody steps up to the top in an easy way.
Yeah.
And so she became very open about talking of this problem that she had had. Very honest and forthright. This is the
And
wonderful.
she's doing well.
She's doing very well.
She's a pianist. I've heard her several.
She's excellent. She's a wonderful pianist.
Artist.
You know, that's the wonderful thing about doing an interview. You never know what street it's going to take. I
agree.
didn't know that Lillian Krause was going. Really, she wanted to speak about this prison camp and her years of toil there with pianism and her fingers and memorizing and staying sane. I planned a few things, but I don't plan too carefully either because I don't want to be in a rut with an interview. And sometimes you just keep poking at things, and all of a sudden, it's just a light. Like Ashkenazi was giving me one-word answers. And I said, I'm not going to have an interview with this man. This is not going to be one. And then I got on this Russian thing about censorship and what they could perform and what they couldn't. And it was like I had put money into a meter. The man started speaking, and he didn't stop. I mean, I had my interview. It was that kind of probing, and it's wonderful when it ignites like that. You know instantly. I have something so special here, and that happened a number of times. Not always.
I very much enjoyed this interview because I thought she was a fascinating woman. I don't know what became of Austin. Is she still?
She's still alive.
I don't know. I heard her here many times. I thought it was very interesting, kind of mystical, and
Brilliant woman.
what an interesting story. And this kind of losing consciousness, and then suddenly she knew how to play Bach or something.
Wouldn't we all love to experience that? I'm ready. I'm ready for the experience.
And it really worked in her case.
Yes. I think sometimes doing the interview at the home of the artist in comfortable surroundings is a good idea because they tend to have more time. They're a lot more open with their answers. And I think there has to be a feeling of trust that you're not going to try to do any trick questions or whatever. I found Horowitz the most difficult interview. It was hard to find the person. It's not what he said, it's what he didn't say that I found very difficult.
Was that in New York?
That was in Chicago. I did. I interviewed him several times. And I came out with the same feeling each time. And I wouldn't want you, which was I never really did reach the man. I never came, there was never the core. It just didn't, it didn't click. And you don't use this, but it was like being a like a billboard that it's one-dimensional. And I don't know if there was something of Horowitz that there was to give, or maybe there wasn't that much to give to begin with. Maybe what there was is what is there. But I never felt that I had an in-depth interview with him. Of all the interviews I did, I have to say that Bolette was one of the most charming.
I love that man.
One of the most charming people to interview. Another one was Andre Watts was another who is a wonderful friend of the family now. We have, in fact...
Yeah, I was at the concert that you orchestrated at Northeast.
We're dear friends. We have been for years.
Yeah.
Wonderful man.
That concert really got me practicing at him.
I was so charmed
91?
that you were there. I was so happy to hear that you were...
He played the Schubert B-flat impromptu, the small A major sonata, the Debussy Estampe, Stomp?
It was a wonderful concert.
I heard him when he was younger, and I think he's really grown. Something's really... He was good. There was nothing wrong.
Oh, he's such a...
Something inner
yes.
fire.
He's such a mensch. He's a really caring human being. And that concert came about, and I said, oh, we would love to have you at Northeastern, but we can't afford you. Pam, is it all right if we stay here for a few minutes? If you need to go, we'll anytime. I have got to be somewhere by 4:45. So, all right, tell us when you'd like us to leave.
Could we have 10 or 15?
More?
Yeah.
Sure. Is that all right? Yeah, that's fine. I will totally
Thank you.
clear.
Yeah, just thank you
I'll
for-
take this. I'm going to mention this too.
Really, thank you for all
Sure.
that.
But I said, jokingly, I said, oh, I don't think we could ever afford you. He said, oh, I'll come free.
Really?
Yeah, just like that.
Was it for a scholarship fund?
Scholarship fund, and all the money went. He wouldn't even allow us to pay his air flight. He wouldn't allow us to pay his hotel bill or his meals.
Where does he live?
He lives in Suffern, New York. Suffern. He has a home out there.
Yeah. He's not interviewed terribly often either.
But but he's very open to interviews, and he's a beautiful person, very very kind, open person. He reminds me of an electricity, because when you're with him, you always feel there's an electrical charge in the mind that's going. You know what I'm saying? That mind is always in his answers, and his whole nature is. He plays that way too. His music is electrically charged. It's very alive. And he is that way too. Quiet, but intense.
It's a high voltage. It's exactly the feeling I had. I watched him play those 3 concertos on TV. It was like,
Aren't you mesmerized?
It was high energy.
Yes.
Liszt, Rachmaninoff, I don't know. Mozart, Liszt, Rachmaninoff.